This is Radio Ukrainian International with the weekly program Doing Business, hosted by me, Rodion Żyzniewski, and produced by Irina Samsonova. Doing Business covers current economic developments in and concerning Ukraine and gives topical information as well as immediate and longer-term economic forecasts. It is what we think might give you food for thought and help you see Ukraine from the economic angle. Do Ukrainian high school students have the drive and determination to develop an idea into a business proposal and sell it to experts? The Masters is the unique international competition for entrepreneurs of the future. The contest offers high school students a chance to develop their commercial skills and English fluency, while also kickstarting their future careers as global business leaders. Teams of bright, creative, and confident students from all around the world are selected to come to the United Kingdom for an intensive fortnight of learning and competing. Working in school teams, students are required to develop innovative business proposals and detailed business plans. They also receive presentations from entrepreneur guest speakers. In the final challenge, at the end of the course, they present their proposals to a panel of guest judges, who then select the winning team, the Masters champions. With a varied program that equips students to develop business ideas and communicate them effectively to potential investors, the Masters is the perfect bridge from high school study to success in the professional world. The program also aims to develop essential academic study skills, which will help students succeed at higher schools in the future. The Masters is hosted by Oxford International, a British Council-accredited organization that has run English language programs for more than 25 years and has educated over 500,000 students from Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. The Masters is a challenging 2-week residential business course for ambitious students aged 16 to 19. It takes place every year, both at Easter and in summer. It is ideal for students interested in becoming global business leaders. Within MBA programs and formats such as Dragon's Den and The Apprentice, entrepreneurs present their ideas to a board of expert investors and business people. From day one, school teams are challenged to develop a comprehensive business plan for a specific product or service, and after 2 weeks of design and development, give a 10 to 15-minute pitch to a panel of entrepreneurs and angel investors. Students from all over the world take part in the event. There are participants from Mexico, Chile, Honduras, Costa Rica, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Panama, Brazil, Ecuador, Italy, Sweden, Ukraine, India, Uruguay, Guatemala, Puerto Rico, and other countries. Now let me introduce one of the main representatives from Oxford International in the UK, Kamila Dolejsi. She is Academic Director of OI Digital Institute and has been involved in the TESOL industry for more than 15 years. She originally trained in Vancouver, Canada, and then spent almost a decade teaching English and teacher training in the Czech Republic. Kamila started working with Oxford International in 2011 as a Director of Studies in a junior summer center and joined the head office team in 2014. She is now the Academic Director of the EFL UK division and the OI Digital Institute. Kamila focuses on academic management, material and new program development, and ongoing professional development opportunities for OI staff. Her answers to my questions are quite interesting and informative.
I am the Academic Director of EFL UK Division for Oxford International Education Group and the Digital Institute, most recently as well. I started working with the company in 2011 as a Director of Studies in one of their summer school sort of settings, and I kept returning year after year. My initial experience was mainly in the summer school settings. And then in 2014, I joined the head office staff in a full-time sort of capacity. And yes, I have been working with them ever since. And I have been working initially mainly on the junior summer programs. Then obviously, well, not then, but parallel with that was the BEO programs, which run at Easter. And then more recently, I oversee the Digital Institute and our pre-sessional courses, our testing program, as well as our teacher training department.
Would you please tell us about the history of the educational project? How did this idea come about?
Yes, so obviously it's a little bit before my time. I think the first competition launched in 2009, and at that point I was not particularly involved with the company, but it very much kind of came out of recognition that there was something else needed as a program that would run outside of the standard summer school kind of setting. Oxford International, we have long history of running summer schools, but there was more and more demand for students to do something outside of the summer, some other engagement. And I think parallel with that, there was also this kind of understanding that the students that were coming to us were getting better at English. And there was a need to allow students to explore the language outside of a classroom setting as well, and give them perhaps a slightly different tool to navigate with the language, and something that would be a little bit more playful and engaging, and potentially something that would feed into their year-round learning as well. So that's very much kind of the seed behind the competitions.
So you said that the starting point was 2009, right?
That was already when the first BEO ran. It was 2009, yes. So, I mean, this is even prior to that. Obviously, there was a little bit of the time period when the idea was being born and finalized. But yeah, the first BEO ran in 2009.
In what particular subjects are the competitions held? Who can compete? What are the age, language skills, and other selection criteria? What are the financial terms for admission?
We run 3 different kinds of competitions, but all 3 are centered around English as a second language. And they are all done from the perspective that they're competitions for teams. So students do not come and compete individually, but they represent their school or their city or their country and compete as a team. The biggest, and perhaps the longest, the one with the most history, is the BEO, British English Olympics. The BEO is aimed at the age group of 12 to 17, so typically high school students or secondary school students, depends on where you're coming from. And the BEO it's a themed competition which has 7 competition elements within its system. There's 2 presentations, a debate, and 4 creative challenges. So there is a drama piece, there is a song that the students have to perform a cappella, there is an improvisation challenge, and there is a mystery challenge. There's, of course, theme that kind of overarches all of them, but the theme changes every year. And the students are typically told about the theme, or the theme is revealed with the guidelines for the competition, typically in September of every sort of school year. And then they have the following X many months to prepare for the competition, which normally takes place around Easter break. So that's the one with the, I guess, biggest history. It's also our most popular program, the one that tends to have most students. The minimum required level for the students to compete in this is a B1 on the Common European Framework scale, but the reality is that most teams that come to compete are B2 or higher. They're very, very, very good students and very skilled at English. And I think what happened sort of gradually over time, I think it was the first competition that started was the BEO, but then we had students and we had teams and schools that really enjoyed it and obviously wanted to come back, but the students either outgrew the age range, or they were kind of, maybe they've done 2 BEOs and they wanted to do something else. So what came out of it was the second type of competition, which is called the Masters, where it is aimed very much at students who have perhaps done already a BEO and want to try something new. So typically the students who participate in the Masters are between 17 and 19. A lot of schools and a lot of teachers like the program because it requires effectively very little pre-arrival preparation. So it's not like, we release the guidelines in September and everybody has time to prepare and plan. Here it's kind of the other way around. The students are given a business brief that asks them to come up with a business model or product following the brief. And then they have the duration of the program to do so. And the program culminates in a final presentation and a pitch to business judges. as to how viable that business idea actually might be. This competition is slightly different from the perspective that, of course, in addition to the preparation sessions or the preparation time that students have to prepare their pitch and work on the brief, they also do get certain amount of business English input, so almost like lessons. So obviously also the minimum level required for this is a bit higher, and we do require students to be at least B2 on the CFR scale. So that's the masters. And then as time went on, obviously we had the opposite problem in a good way. And that's the fact that we started getting sort of younger audience or students who did not have exactly that kind of language proficiency to participate either in the BEO or the masters. So the World English Experience, also called the WE, was born, and that's very much kind of an open program for students anywhere from 8 to 16. It is also a program which is most similar to a standard summer school type of program, because there is a certain number of general English lessons that the students take part in. But in addition to that, they do also compete in 4 events. These events are a little bit more aimed at team building and sort of creativity rather than linguistically challenging for the students, because obviously the level can be quite varied on this program, but it's a lot of fun. And so effectively it's open to students of any level and of any age. All participating students and all participating teams receive a certificate, obviously, of participation. The schools receive a commemorative plaque, and then obviously trophies. If they make it to the top 3, then there's great trophies. But it's an academic program, so we do not tend to provide students with monetary reward, but it's the prestige that their school is gaining.
Yeah, and I guess it plays an important role for the students' future portfolio, CV, or recommendation list. If you have such mark in your CV, that it means that you're well prepared for entering that or another university.
Absolutely. I do think that the program is very highly academically assessed. And so being able to demonstrate that you've taken part, also not just being able to demonstrate that you've taken part, but I think the skills that students gain through participation on such program are really skills that they will need in their future academic lives, whether that's, the confidence to stand up in front of audience and present, or, working collaboratively in a team, researching certain topics, distributing the workload. All of those things will be expected off of them at a university level. So that is very much kind of a fantastic training ground for that. There are schools that have been coming to the BEO for quite some time that now systematically build in the preparation into their curriculum, because they recognize the value of it, and they see also how it benefits their students in terms of their linguistic development. So yes, it's a very much an important academic component of education.
How are the groups formed?
We have countries that have very sort of dominant representation, and where there are many teams coming from the same country. We do not limit the number of teams from a given country, and if anything, we do limit the number of participants in a team. So sometimes actually we do ask a school or a team, if they come with a team that's bigger than 20, we do ask them to split into 2. Especially on the BEO and on the masters, it's very true as well. The bigger the team, the more there is a chance that the students will not have such opportunities to participate actively in all of it, because obviously the more kids on a team, the harder it is to kind of distribute the workload evenly. So teams around 10 are ideal, but we have had bigger teams, we have had smaller teams, but as I said, there is no limitation on how many teams per country.
Kamila Dolejsi. She is academic director of OI Digital Institute and has been involved in the TESOL industry for more than 15 years. You're listening to Radio Ukraine's weekly program Doing Business, hosted by me, Rodion Zhiznievsky, and produced by Irina Samsonova. How is it all organized, from the arrival and accommodation to medical insurance and departure? Where does it take place?
Typically, there needs to be a teacher or a group leader who's willing to kind of work with the school team, prepare them a little bit, travel with them, be their kind of go-to person. This is perhaps even more relevant to the BEO programs or the BEO competition, where there is a lot of pre-arrival preparation needed. Nevertheless, even on the masters, we would require a school teacher or an accompanying adult to travel with the group. And typically that tends to be the adult as well, who makes sure that, the team is of a good enough size so that it's not too small or too big and too stressful for the students, and that kind of communicates on behalf of the team in terms of the formalities that need to be done. Typically, it is the agent who takes care of the flights and potentially insurance, because that's very much a matter of private preference, I think, as well. But obviously, we can help with that, or the company can help with that if there's some doubt. Once the team is sort of on and committed to coming, effectively the process is that once they arrive at the airport, they are met by a member of our staff who then takes them to a coach, and they have a transfer directly from the airport to the center where they're staying. We tend to use boarding schools and university campuses all around the UK. They are typically of the same standard, so it doesn't really matter where you go. It does depend a little bit on the program, of course, because, for example, on the BEO event, at some point, the campuses compete against each other. So I can't tell you sort of, where the students would go specifically, but they are very Harry Potter-like schools, sort of prestigious boarding schools in a lovely setting. So once they get on a bus and they're on their way to the center, they also receive a further sort of information pack, contact information, their center information, their program, which is then reiterated to them once they get to the campus, because obviously there is a center manager, there's an academic events manager who meet with the teachers and kind of give them the information bit by bit. It's quite overwhelming, I think, to travel with a group of teenagers. So we do want to support the teachers or the accompanying adults as much as possible and give them the information kind of bit by bit as and when they need it. Then it's really up to them to enjoy their stay. Everything within the program is then organized for them. The process would work exactly the same when it comes, for example, to an excursion. So most of these programs have at least 2 days in London. Often, not all, but some of the programs then have at least one extended trip to London where they go and see a West End musical in the evening. But on all of these excursions or all of these events outside of the campus, again, you would be, given a member of staff to accompany you and your team. They stay with you the whole time. They take you around London. They show you sort of the important bits. They're also your point of contact. Sort of if you want to have a couple of hours and go shopping, but you want somebody to be on a standby, they're there on a standby to take care of you, to bring you then back to the bus who will bring you back to the center, to the college. So, very little kind of very few opportunities to get lost or to not know what's happening. So there is a very systematic net of support provided throughout the whole thing.
How long does the competition last? Besides the competition itself, does the program also include sightseeing trips, sport events, or other activities?
The BEO and the WE are 2-week programs. The Masters is typically 12 nights. It's slightly shorter. That's the standard length. And then obviously, once we define the excursion dates, we build the rest of the program around it. So there are obviously time slots that are devoted to the competitions or to the preparation for the competition, but there's also plenty of time to kind of, get to know each other. One of the goals of the competition is that while it is a competition, we understand the students are there and they want their team to do really well. It's also an incredibly internationally mixed program. And so we want the students to get to know each other, to get to know other nationalities, to mingle and mix as much as possible. So very often we put on events sort of for fun, where that's karaoke and discos, but also sports events, football. So there's a little bit of everything. It's really incredibly rich program.
Is it possible to combine the round trips with your program to see different universities and to check the different conditions where students in Great Britain usually study to check it all out?
So normally on a sort of fixed program, we don't really tend to do that simply because the program is already so packed. And because sometimes it's geographically rather tricky to be able to get students from one place to another. Obviously, we can sort of act on request. So if we had a team which is specifically interested in a certain place or a certain type of excursion, we can always take it on board and see if that's possible. That's not a problem. In fact, as a part of the program, there are obviously days on which students can choose, or the team can choose what they want to do and where they want to do it. However, again, it's good to keep in mind that distances in the UK are rather big, and so we tend to give them recommendations so that it is feasible and realistic to do in one day. But if it's within those parameters, I think it can always be requested, and we'll see what we can do.
Do you have a partner in Ukraine? How long have you been cooperating with Ukraine? Have you since noticed any progress or changes for the better?
Obviously, the easiest way is to find an agent that will take you through the process from the beginning to the end. And in the Ukraine, we work with DEC Education. They are our go-to partner and have brought many teams to us already. So I think they know the process from the beginning to the end. Typically, our agent partners are then able to take you through all the paperwork from the beginning to the end. And it very much very often they are able to help you with insurance and flights and all those formalities. We also do provide certain degree of pre-arrival support. So each competition, typically in about October, November of every year, we tend to launch a forum for the participating teams, even if they're not sort of fully formed yet, but they know that they want to come, they're still working on building their team. We do give them access to this forum where they can ask questions, and we answer those on a weekly basis, whether they are relevant to the competitions or simply relevant to the program in general. And we do, through the forum as well, sort of feed them information that they may need, whether that's related to, what to pack or how to best prepare for the competition. So we do provide a lot of pre-arrival guidance on that as well.
How long have you been cooperating with Ukraine? Have you since noticed any progress or changes for the better?
I believe we have been working with DEC Education since 2016. Initially, they were bringing some groups to our summer school programs. If I'm not mistaken, because I do not have all the access now working remotely, but if I'm not mistaken, their first BEO was in 2018. But they have brought students both on the BEO program as well as the masters. They have done pretty well. And one thing that stands out to me, at least, is that I do remember one of the years there was a DEC Education team that actually scored within the top 3 in the song contest, and they were asked to perform their song live in front of an audience of about 2,000 students from all over the world. So that was definitely a highlight that I remember till this day. And I'm sure that they have a lot more to showcase in the coming years. So we hope that we're going to get more of them.
And with that, we finished the first part of our episode about international student programs. That was Radio Ukraine's weekly program Doing Business, hosted by me, Rodion Жизневский, and produced by Irina Samsonova. Stay tuned for more in Radio